Hey, it's Dave. Welcome to my shop. Next day on the tray project, and I apologize for whining like a schoolboy. It wasn't going the way I wanted it to, and it's not like I deserve better, but I'm just used to things working out. I do. Anyway, so I've got a problem. It shows up. It's not anywhere near as bad as I thought. I'm going to be able to grind it right out. It does mean I'm going to have to go over all of this stuff one more time, put another coat of shellac on it, which wasn't my dream, but things are looking up because that's all I need to do is get one more coat of shellac on this after I do a little bit of sanding. The holes that I'm having a problem with are small. The burn marks in this thing are tiny. I mean, that's my burn mark, my big bad burn mark. I'm going to get rid of all this. I'm going to sand the whole thing because I have to sand the entirety of it anyway. And get another coat on. It's going to be fine. Thanks for watching. Thanks for sticking with me on this thing. I'm going to get it this time for sure. Okay, here's lighting and cameras. I got it. But I've got this line right there. A little teeny shred of a line there that I'm also going to pick up. Small flaw here. There's no point in having flaws. And these are easy. So I'm going to grind these out, just sandpaper. This isn't great design. This is just sanding with a purpose, right? Yeah. And this coat of shellac that's on here is gumming up like crazy. That's great, I guess. Could be just because of the weather. Could be I didn't thin this stuff enough. First coat, you're supposed to thin it more. More than I did, I guess. Little lessons, I guess. Lots of them. It really is gummier than I'm used to. Boy, I'm whining again. What is this about old men whining? I'm sure I like that. I'm going to be really glad I did this once it's done. You know how that goes. I should, if I'm going to persist making things like this, I should get some sort of a sanding tool that gets down inside these crevices, low places. I've got one of those vibrating fine light tools that has a sanding pad on it that just wiggles. Maybe I should break that out and try that. Those are pretty aggressive. Not so much for finishing this, but the next time I make one of these, if there is a next time. I heard you thinking that. All right, and I've got. Well, this is a good sign. I'm having a hard time finding my bad line. It's right there. That's great. That's great. That means it's virtually gone. As long as I'm not kidding myself. I see a little bit of it. Virtually gone. This coat of shellac is really doing the gummies on my paper. I'm not really sure about that. I can sort of still see it. You can see what's going on. I'm sanding in too far to get that line out. I knew this was going to be, right? I knew. So I'll have to put one more, because I want to have a single uniform coat on the surface of this. So I'm back to, another coat of shellac. Not whining, not whining. Simply commenting on what's happening. Cool. All right, quick one around the world here. That's great. All right. All right. Buff up the other one and get those burn spots out. And like that one, bad burn. Bad to the burn, right? That's why I was whining so much. It was like I tricked myself into thinking I was ready for shellac, and I wasn't. I do think I'm going to put a little bit more denatured alcohol thinner in this batch of shellac, the next one, because this is still a little gummier than I like it. Anyway, I'll sand the rest of this out. New piece of sandpaper. And I'll see you in a few minutes. We'll get to shellacking this for the second time. So, under the heading of like watching paint dry, let's do this again. Because this is, it's getting to be fun, right? Yeah. I'm going to sand this, I don't care. Bristles. Look at 2 coats on it. It should be fine. All right, that's great. Do this other one, and then we'll wait for it to dry, which be probably sometime tomorrow. Be great. Good. All right, that's great. Thanks for watching. See you tomorrow. We're going to get it tomorrow. So, these things are dry. It's great. The shellac did a great job. Nice color, uniform. They've all kind of tightened up. I like it a lot. There's a little bit of discoloration from the oxidized wood that was very close to the surface. Very close to the surface. You can see this one. I left a couple of saw marks in. They aren't really there, but the discoloration that followed in, oxidation, shows. Probably on both of them a little bit. So this is probably the most fun thing I do. I'm gonna sand these, sand the shellac only. I'm not gonna sand any wood. I'm using 220 grit paper. Buzz the whole surface. It'll make it dull and powdery looking, and then I'm gonna I don't know what, brush on the first coat of tung oil, modified tung oil, and it's gonna be great. Watch this. Okay, you don't need to study the sanding process. I'm sanding. It's like all sanding. It's a little bit monotonous, but this is producing that dull, powdery surface. I don't have to fight with any of the sheen that's produced with the shellac, but the fibers are all tightened and fixed, and so I can make this thing as smooth as smooth. It's great. This is some of the most fun I have. And now the back, got a couple of juice marks where it touched those pieces of metal, and those may take a little bit of work to get out. Getting a little bit more filling than I'm used to on. I mean, usually this is a thing that happens on shellac that hasn't completely dried, but this is dried. I left this over the weekend, so it's not that it's not dry, but it's still doing that, not gummy, but it's filling the paper. Not a terribly good thing. On the other hand, it's 1/8 of a sheet of sandpaper, and I've pretty much got it. So now I guess I'm going to go around with a fresh piece, done, and look for spots that I don't like the way that they look, because I've done all I need to do to kill the sheen of the shellac and cut all the fibers down. Now I'm going to go around and look for a little bit of a blemish from a bristle right there. That's gone. This has got some little pecky bits on the surface. You know the drill here. I can sand across the grain because I'm not sanding the wood. I'm just sanding the shellac. So I don't have to worry about that. That green part of the story is over. This looks pretty good. I know, I'm playing with the bottom. Be critical, right? That's what this is. This is a lesson in don't go nuts. You don't hate yourself. You just be critical. Look at what you're doing. If you're like most people, you won't actually get to do this that many times. Even if you're clever and good and get a lot of stuff done, you won't be completely revisiting this unless you're in the bowl and tray business. Most of us, you know, it's bowls and trays today, and tomorrow it's a step ladder for the kitchen, and the week after that it's a bookcase for the library. I mean, it's always something. It's always something different. So let's get this and have this be the best tray that I can make. I've made 4, I think. I don't think I'll make many more. But you don't know. I mean, eventually, I guess everybody's dream is you catch on to something and everybody gets to like it, and you get to make a bunch of them, and you get to be good at it, and then it gets a little boring. So, short of that, look at this. This is great. Still getting that gumming. I'm not happy about that. It'll pass. Okay. funny. Each time I turn this thing, I see a little bit on the corner. I must not be sanding all the way to the corner when I'm doing this. Curious. That is just super. I know it looks scratchy, but don't sweat that. All those scratches they're way past being able to feel them in terms of how deep they are. They're just wavelength of light issues. And once I put the next coat of finish on this thing, that particular wavelength diffraction, distortion, be gone. They'll get filled, never to be seen again. It's sort of like how wax works, filling the little cracks so that they don't catch the light. Anyway, all right. So now I've just got the inside of this, and this has been worked over and worked over. There are still, boy, I can see them. I'm sure. You know, they're pretty small, but they're still there. I can feel a little bit of pulling on the outside edge of this too. Oh well. It's not really old. You know, it could be that I've reused an old shellac bucket cup. You know, you don't want to always be working out of the gallon jug, so you decant some to a cup. There was some excess in the cup. Maybe it was thicker, so I was not ever really thinning the first coat, or in this case the second. I was actually making it thicker. Don't know. You know, obviously I'm going to keep my eye on that clear shellac and be sensitive the next time I use it. I mean, I obviously can get through 2 little trays with a little bit of sanding gumminess, but if I had a big project, I'd be at my wit's end. You've seen me at my wit's end. I whine like a schoolboy. There's this theory, it's a muscular theory, that I sand better if I sand fast. It's just not the case. I don't care how slowly you move your hands. All right, that, I think, is that. I think I've covered it all. Give it that old tactile thing. All of this fussing, you can imagine, is all happening in between the first and second coats of shellac. Films. Pretty thin. But there it is. This is good. I'm happy. All right, I'm going to wipe these down. And, boy, I've got to, I wonder if this is crappy enough. Oh, yeah. All right. So wipe these down and then bust out the tongue oil and slap some on. I wonder, in terms of application, if I'd be better off wiping it on. I have a tendency to put a little bit less on when I wipe it. I'm not sure that that's always a good thing, but it may be what I do. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that. I'm going to get some tongue oil and, I don't know. See what I find first. A good rag or a brush. Alright, it's brush. It's a brush project. For reasons that I don't know. Okay, here we go. This is simple, quick. Just needed to be a little bit on the even side. I don't overdo myself here. Big thing is I don't want to leave lumps that are going to cause over the edge drips, because you know, this is typical of Dave in a quick project, right? You know the drill. I want to put a coat on both sides at the same time. That's how I roll. You know, and what do I say? You know it by heart, I'm sure. Well, I'm going to sand anyway, so it doesn't matter. All right. That is super. This is crooked. Better. All right, great. That worked out pretty well. Let's see if we can do that twice. Seems even to me. Good, good. All right. Set that aside. Someplace where we won't get too much dust on it. Thanks for watching. I'll let you know how it turns out when we get to the next coat. Well, here we are. We finally got to this stage. Been tongue oiled, varnished, and that's dried, and now it's put a little wax on and buff it, because the tongue oil, it's nice, but it's a little teeny bit shiny for real wood. So I'm going to see if I can knock it sheen down a little bit and pick up a few of the little bits of dust particles that have fallen to the surface while it was drying, curing, and make it kind of uniformly dull, and then, you know, somehow between dull and shiny, hopefully we find a middle ground called luster. Luster, let's hope for luster. All right. The tops I brushed, the bottoms I brushed, but then on second coat on the bottoms, I did them separately, and on the second coat on the bottoms, I wiped it. Wiping doesn't produce as high a sheen, so I don't have to work quite so hard to knock it down. At least that's what I believe, in my opinion. So here we are. And this is, you know, it's cherry, so it's got a, to me, in my opinion, it has an inherent warmth to it. And if I get, you know, what I think of as the luster right, it will be attractive and have a remarkable amount of durability. Probably, you know, serve food on it. All right, so there is that. This is the product. I think that looks pretty darn good. So, you know, typical post-mortem here. I still have a tiny line right there from chiseling. Get a nick right there. I never got that out. And a little bit of a blemish there in the top coat of finish. I think I can take that off. Let's see what happens. Get a little persuasive with the steel wool. Looks good. Better. Better. All right. I like the thinness of it. This is somewhere between 3/8 and 5/16 thick. That's kind of nice. You know, clearly I love the varnish and wax finish. The luster, it looks lustrous. It looks like it's got depth. Feels, it's got good feel to it. I'm liking it a lot. All right, so there's that one. I had already waxed this one, so I'm going to buff it. You can see that I made a little bit of an error in judgment. I didn't remove enough of the oxidized wood. When this was a rough board, the sunlight penetrated the surface of the rough board a little bit of a distance and darkened as it will. Here's the thing. Now that it's all been buffed down and I've got this never been seen the light of day wood here, fresh wood, it's probably all going to continue to darken. The ultraviolet radiation, being what it is, will continue to darken the wood. So these cherry things, while there are dark spots and light spots on them now, over time it will just all turn dark. One of the things that I sort of gone used to about the cherry, it's not my favorite feature that it gets dark, but you get used to it. Back in the day when we were concerned about cherry darkening and getting too dark because of some design issue or color issue, we would frequently switch over. Instead of using cherry, we use red maple. Red maple has a very, very similar coloration when it's fresh and doesn't darken like the cherry does. So that was our trick on that. But these are cherry. They're going to darken. They look pretty darn good to me. I think that was a win. And I hope you do as well with your projects. Take these home and we'll put little displays of polished rocks in them, because that's what we're doing these days, and then they'll get packed up as sent away as gifts, you know, to little mementos of things that we do with other people. Just a little identity. Maybe we'll get this home, and maybe you'll probably know as well as I in just a few minutes. we'll take some still pictures, and you can see them with rocks in them. That's great. Thanks for watching. Thanks for sticking with me on this this little series. Next is trying to get my lathe working again, so that I don't have to make square ones anymore. That's something to look forward to. And just it so happens that I've got a piece of white oak right here that I'm going to drill out and use to mount a new motor on the side of my lathe so it's in the right position, and I can go back to making round things. Because as fun as square things are, round things are a whole pant load easier to deal with. Says me. Anyway, thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one.